In this video, we are going to be going over the Math 8 Practice EOG Calculator Active problems 21 through 25. Okay, the first problem 21, it says a limousine company P and company R both charge a rental fee plus an additional charge per hour. Equation y equals 50 plus 30x models the total cost in dollars y of the renting a limousine company for P hours. Okay, so if x represents hours, okay, and y represents the cost in dollars, and this represents hours, okay? It says the table below shows the cost to rent a limousine from company R for different lengths of time, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do here is figure out what's happening, which is plus 1. Every time I add an hour, the price goes up $25, okay? And if I were going to work backwards, what number when you add 25 goes to 100? 75. So the equation for this would be, if $30 per hour is my slope for the first one, this one would be 25x plus where do you start at 0 hours? $75. Okay? The question said which statement actually compares the what? Per hour charges of the two companies. So this is my per hour charge, my slope, and this is my per hour charge. Okay? This is company R, and that's company P. Okay? So when it says, what's their difference in price? Well, $30 minus $25 is 5. So the ones that say a $25 difference, those are out. Now, does company P charge $5 less or $5 more? Company P is $30, this one's $25, so company P charges $5 more. Okay? So B is my answer. Alright, next problem. 22, it says, in which function do all the points x, y lie on the same line that has a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 2? Okay, so if I was going to write that as an equation, a slope of 2 is 2x, and, a slope of 3, So a slope of 3x and a y-intercept of 2, because it's all y equals what? Mx plus b. Okay, where b is my y-intercept, m is my slope. The first thing I'm going to do with this table is find the difference. That's what I always do. I need to find a table that has a slope of 3. Okay? A slope of 3. Well, I notice from 1 to negative 2 is plus 3. From 2 to 5 is plus 3. And from 5 to 8 is plus 3. When I look at my other answer choices, I notice that they're all the same. So that makes this real easy on this side. All of these are adding 3 each time because they're all the same. That's great. Okay, so now I need to find one that has a slope of 3. Okay, well this side, that's going to be plus 9, plus 9, plus 9. From negative 1 to 7, I went plus 8. From 7 to 17, plus 10. 17 to 26, I went up plus 9. From negative 1 to 8 is plus 9. From 8 to 18 is plus 10. And from 18 to 26 is plus 8. And for the last table, this is plus 9, and plus 8. Okay, well, for it to be a linear line, the slope has to be constant, okay? That means if I'm going up 3 on this side, I need to be adding by the same number on this side. Or, if I'm adding by 3 on this side, I need to be subtracting by the same number on this side. The only table that is adding 3 on one side and adding the same number on the other side is A. Okay? This is the only table that's doing that. So that means that this table is the only one that's what? Linear. In addition to that, slope is change in y over change in x. So change in y is 9 over 3, which is 3. So my slope is 3. So the answer to this problem is okay. You didn't even have to check your y-intercept. Okay, for 23, it said Mr. Jones filled his swimming pool with water. Mr. Jones began filling the pool at a constant rate. He turned off the water for a while. Then he turned the water back on at a slower constant rate. Mr. Jones turned off the water again for a while. Then he turned the water back on at the first rate. Which graph best represents Mr. Jones filling the pool? Okay, so I'm going to read it again. If he is filling in a pool at a constant rate, that's important. I noticed that on my thing, all my graphs say time in gallons. Okay, So that's representing, good to know what they're representing. Then it says he turned the water what? Off for a while. Well, if he's turning the water off, it's going to happen to the gallon. It's just going to stay flat, okay? It's not going to change. No change because you're not adding any water, you're not taking any water out. So then he turned the water back on at what? A slower constant rate. So that means that this needs to be less steep than wherever I started, up here at the constant rate. The next thing says that he turned the water off, what? For a while. So for the same amount of time that he turned the water off up here, he turned the water off up here. So again, that's going to be flat with no change. Then he turned the water back on at the first rate. Okay? Turns the water back on at the first rate. So this needs to match the steepness of the first one, where I start. So when I'm looking at these graphs, I can go ahead and rule this out because the amount of gallons is what? It's going down. That means water came out. So, no, water did not come out. Never says he took water out. All the rest of them at least keep going up. The other thing that you can see is that on this one it stops. That's when it's off for a little bit, and then it's off for a long time. But the question says that it's off for a while for both of them. That means it's the same amount. So these two lines should be the same distance, which they're not. So those two are out. Now I need to choose between A and C. I don't know if you can see it as well, but this and this are not the same size. So I already know the stops weren't as long. But just in case that's not what you saw from that, you can notice this. Okay? This is steep. And then when he turns the water off, it gets even steeper. No. This is a fast rate, and it should have gotten what? Slower. So that's why this isn't it. So it has to be A. It's going at one rate, he stops for a while, he slows, turns the water back on, it slows, stops for the same distance, and then he goes back to the original speed that he started with. So my answer is A. Alright, for 24, it said triangle x, y, z will be translated so that the coordinates of x prime, that's what that apostrophe means, x prime, that's my new point, right underneath it, new, okay, are 5, 11. So here's the original, and here's the new, over 5 and up 11. This is x prime. So what happened? It went 2 boxes to the left. The question says, what are the coordinates of z prime, the new z? Well, if that one did, this one's got to do the same thing. It needs to go 2 boxes to the left, which is at 6, 7, which is B. Alright. For 25, okay, Tim made soup which contains 75 total ounces of beans. Okay, her soup is 75 total ounces. The soup has 2 kinds of beans, black and red. There are 4 times as many ounces of black beans as there are red beans. The question says, how many red beans are in the soup? Okay. Well, this is a systems of equations problem. So if you're one of my Math 1 students, you should have quickly recognized this as systems, and I'm going to work out the solution using the systems method over here. If you're my Math 8 student, you might have used the systems method, or you could also use guess and check, which I'll work out over here in just a minute after I do the systems algebra 1 way. So using systems, you should have written 2 equations. Okay, the first equation you would have said that the number of red beans plus the number of black beans is 75 total beans. The next one is a little bit harder. When it says 4 times as many ounces of black beans as red beans, this is those examples where I told you I had to read it a lot to myself. 4 times as many black beans as red beans. So then, in my mind, to help me, I'd change it. If I was at a basketball game and I said, they have 4 times as many fans as we do, what would I mean? I would mean they have a lot more than we do, right? They have 4 times as many red, okay? So if I only have 4, if I had, for example, let's say there were 5 people at our game on our side of the fans, and then at the other side they had 20, right? I said they have 4 times as many people as we do. Well, how did you do that? You take yours and you times it by 4 to get theirs, okay? So when you read that 4 times as many ounces of black beans as red beans, what you're really saying is that if you take the red beans and you times them by 4, that's going to give you the number of black beans, since there's a lot more black beans than red beans. Alright, now that I have my equations, this is set up for substitution. I need to plug all this in. So I have R plus 4R equals 75. That gives me a total of 5R equals 75. I divide by 5. And R equals 15. So when it says how many red beans, I know the answer is 15. Okay, so that is the math one, algebra way to do it. What if all this is confusing and you don't understand it? You can use your answer choices just like we did with that tree and shrub problem. It said how many ounces of red beans are in the soup. They're telling me that these are my options for red beans. Okay, so I'm going to turn it into a table. These are my options for red beans. This is going to be where I'm going to put my black beans. How many total beans do you have to have? 75. So 5 take away 75 is 70. 75 take away 12 is 63. 75 take away 15 is 60. 75 take away 19 is 56. Okay, so I know that if I had 12 red beans, I'd have to have 63 black beans. Why? Because they have to add together to get a total of 75. So these are my combination options. I'm going to plug them in and see which one makes sense. The only other thing they have to do is there has to be 4 times as many black beans as red beans. So if I take my red beans and I times these by 4, that has to give me the number of black beans. Well, 5 times 4 is 20. That is not equal to 70. A doesn't work. Okay? 12 times 4 is 48. That is not equal to 63. That does not work. 15 times 4 is 60, which is equal to 60. So that's my answer. Perfect. Moving on. Oh, sorry. That's the last one for that video.